On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Apex by Unleash the Archers. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal and we like to talk about it. And it's February, which means for us, it's Female February. We like to take a look or listen to some of the prominent women of heavy metal.
Yes.
Give them a spotlight for a while.
The queens of metal. Yes.
They deserve it. So you brought a band that I'm pretty sure I had heard of. I had never listened to before. They're sort of a mostly power metal is the DNA, but heavy metal mixed in there, and also some melodic death metal a little bit in there. I was actually kind of surprised the first time that I heard, there's some growls or screams in there.
That's the guitar player.
Yes.
That's Grant.
I was aware of that now. Became aware of that when I started looking up information about the band, because that doesn't sound like the main singer.
That's hard. That's hard to really judge anymore, considering what we listened to last week. And
I mean, I think if I hadn't ever listened to Ginger before, maybe I wouldn't be able to say that does sound like different people. But to me, it all sounds like Tatiana. But that's probably because I've listened to Ginger before, right? But
yeah, I found this band by accident, and it was recently, in the last couple of years. I don't remember what I was looking up, but I ended up saying it's something similar. They're called Unleash the Archers. I've never heard of this before. And then I listened to it, and why the fuck haven't I heard this before?
Continuing the tried and true band name trend of Verb the Noun.
Yeah. These guys are on tour with Slice the Cake.
Yeah. It's all the rage in the metalcore community throughout the aughts and the early 2010s.
Right.
Is our band name is Verb the Noun, to the point where there was a parody band that I don't know if they ever really existed. But one of the moderators of the metalcore subreddit for a very long time was had the Verb the Noun. It was like a fake band, essentially. I don't know if that band ever really existed or not, if they ever made any actual music. But yeah, there was a ton of bands of that generation. They all looked and sounded the same.
But not like these guys.
Not like these guys, no, because this is
not metalcore.
This is power metal,
right?
Very much. But we'll talk more about Unleash the Archers.
All right.
A bit later on. First, how are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm
doing fine.
This is like week 6, week 7 of me
living on your own.
Living on my own. I'm going to do something special tonight after we put this in the can, as it were.
Yeah. The garbage. Making a judgment call on this episode right now.
This is going to be an hour's waste of our time.
And yours. The listener.
Yeah. I'm going to make some mead tonight.
Yeah.
I'm doing that. I got myself, I'm not doing this high class. I'm doing this in the backwoods kind of.
I mean, mead is one of the things that is, it's like the easiest alcohol to make yourself by far.
Right. Because you don't even need to boil it.
Yeah. You just get a shitload of, all you do need is a bunch of honey, some water, a jug, and some yeast.
Right. And you need some way to vent the jug.
Yeah.
So you can get rid of the yeast farts while keeping that sweet
classic yeast piss. Classic yeast farts.
Right.
But yeah, it's like one of the easiest alcohols to make at home. Yeah. Essentially.
I got some raisins and I got some mixed fruit. I'm going to put in there.
Fruits.
I thought maybe a good thing, maybe star anise.
Star anise?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
It's you find it a lot in Asian cooking.
Anise.
Yeah.
Anise. Okay, I know what anise is.
Yeah, anise and star anise are two very different things. I mean, it just got the name like red pandas.
Okay,
red pandas are not pandas, but they just
they're
right.
Well, they're kind of red panda. That's the thing about red pandas is they're kind of their own thing. Yeah, people are like they're related to raccoons. No, well, I mean vaguely.
Vaguely, I think that's their closest cousin.
They're carnivorans,
right?
But they are not in the same family as raccoons. They are their own thing. Right. They're the only member of their genus or family.
They're a standalone thing. Any other relatives are dead.
Yes, but I was suggesting that you should you need something that's kind of bitter.
Right. Need bitter, maybe a little bit savory, something
to balance out all that sugar.
Right, because it's just be honey and fruit is going to be the main flavor components, and wow, that's going to be whew.
Is hibiscus bitter?
Hibiscus?
Wild Man makes mead with hibiscus in it.
It's hibiscus, but it's hibiscus and something else,
and also hops.
Yeah, okay,
hibiscus and hops is what's in that.
I don't have any hops, right? And there's no hop store around here.
Or it's not Wild Man, it's Big Lost. Wild Man is a one of their varieties.
Right. Wild Man, Wild Man and Wild Woman, is that the other one?
Wild Man and
Crazy Woman?
Crazy Woman, and then there's like one other flavor, but
right.
I think Crazy Woman is the one with hibiscus in it.
Yeah.
But in any case, I think you need something to just balance out that flavor profile a little bit.
Otherwise, it's going to be real sweet.
It's going to be a dessert.
It's going to be real sweet, or if I let it sit long enough,
it's going to be real strong.
It's going to be real strong. Just thinking about it, I think Kale just got drunk.
Yeah.
Just sitting.
I once drank 2 bottles of mead in what? Oh, you hadn't opened your beer yet?
No, I hadn't. I started to drink through the cap.
Yeah. That could have done some damage to your lips and your teeth.
I could have.
Bottle cap. Mm-hmm. But, I drank 2 bottles of mead on New Year's Eve, the first year I lived in this apartment. That was not a great night.
Was it, maybe a poor choice?
It was a poor choice. I was by myself. I slept on my own couch.
Was that 2017 or 2018?
This would have been 2018. This would have been, or at least the New Year's Eve would have been in 2018.
Sure, New Year's Day in 2019.
Yes,
because that's how that works.
I slept on my own couch because I had also done laundry, and I had taken all the bed sheets off of my bed, and so it was 2 a.m, and I was
so drunk.
I was completely and utterly shit-faced drunk. It's probably the last time I got well and truly shit-faced.
Like here or there, you've gotten a buzz, and then I'm gonna call it a night.
Yeah. I walked into my bedroom, saw there was no sheets on my bed, and went, "Fuck it, I'll sleep on the couch." And I grabbed my comforter and wrapped it around me and slept on my own couch. A man who lives alone sleeping on his own couch.
I've actually done that many, many times.
Well, yeah, but it was probably because you fell asleep watching TV or something like that. This was, I've made too many poor choices today. And now I'm physically incapable of putting sheets on this bed without probably falling and smacking my head on the wall. I had been playing video games and had been on voice chat, and I threw up on Mike.
Who's Mike?
Mine. I didn't throw up on. Funny.
I threw up on Mike.
Yeah, but I threw up over voice chat into the garbage can next to my desk.
Did somebody tell you about it later, or do you just remember doing it? No,
I remember doing it. I didn't black out. I was nearly there. But yeah, two bottles of mead.
Right. I remember being that drunk when I was in my early 20s. I think, or maybe I was late teens. I don't know. But I was peeing on a tree in the middle of a boulevard.
In the middle of a boulevard.
Middle of a boulevard in somewhere in a residence here in Minot, or a residential area in Minot. And I vaguely remember this. They pointed it out to me the next day. My friend Doug was standing over to my right. He was staring off into space. He said, OJ, check that out. And reflexively, when somebody calls your name,
you turned your whole body.
Turn my whole body toward Doug. What? He's like, God damn it!
Oh, okay. You peed on Doug.
I peed on Doug.
Hi, I'm Doug.
I'm Pete on Doug.
I'm Pete on Doug. Tonight, Pete on Doug. What does Pete think of Doug? Find out. I don't know.
No, Doug kind of bothers me sometimes.
Is that Pete's voice?
I'm Pete, and well, Doug and I really don't talk as much as we used to. We're not really friends anymore.
No,
if I think about it, we never really were friends. Yeah, I mean, in retrospect, he did steal my car once. He killed my dog. Fucked my girlfriend. On the same night. In the car with the dog. And I talked to him for like 3 years after that.
Doug's a fucking asshole. Fuck you, Doug. It's okay if you're listening and your name is Doug, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
You're not the Doug
You're
I'm
wonderful
talking about.
and special, and we love you, but it's time to go. Sorry, I was flashing back to last January.
Sure.
Oh, God.
And Doug, if you're the Doug who I'm talking about who's listening to this, you're
Doug
cool.
Burgum, the governor of North Dakota.
Doug Burgum, the governor of North Dakota. That's the guy
that you peed on?
After he stole my car and fucked my girl. No.
Yeah.
Fucking Doug Burgum.
The governor of North Dakota.
North Dakota. Dude.
Killed my dog, fucked my girlfriend, and I peed on him while we were drunk and standing in the middle of a boulevard.
This was like 2 weeks ago.
When he supposedly had COVID.
He was in Minot.
The reason why he couldn't perform his
state of the state speech.
Yeah, his gubernatorial duties is because he was too busy getting shit faced with you.
He was drinking mead.
The COVID thing was an excuse that he made up.
He had to tell his wife too. My voice, don't come around me because she's a recovering addict. So.
Yeah, sorry, Catherine.
Yeah, so if he's gonna go get all fucked up, he has to do it on the DL because
I'm sure,
and all the way up in Minot.
Yeah, he came up to this shit.
I don't care if I wreck this town. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. I haven't really been doing anything other than playing more Dark Souls and making progress, chipping away at Dark Souls 3.
I downloaded an ass load of video games last week.
Yeah, you've been on a tear.
I have been on a tear.
Video games. You started playing Bloodborne.
Started playing Bloodborne.
Have you made any more progress in Bloodborne? Did you kill the cleric beast? It's the first big boss.
So
what happened?
Okay, because this is the nature.
Upset.
This is the nature of those fucking games.
Yeah.
As I managed to do, Max did it kind of got through it first and went around, and there's this gate. You have to go through this gate and get to the other side of the gate, and you don't know where the beast went. But now suddenly these giant crows are attacking you.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, crap. You did it. All right. Oh no, I died. Oh shit. Okay. So where do we go back? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
So here's the thing. Here's the strategy, and it's gonna be one of those things where it's easier said than done, sort of. But
okay,
here's my strategy for playing any From Software game. It is when you end up in an area, starting area or any other new area.
Yeah,
the first time you are going through, like not even the first time, the first 10, 20 times you are going through this area.
Because you're going to die a lot.
Fight your way through it. Fight every enemy you come across, figure out how difficult they are to fight, and And then once you've gotten all the way to the end, because you're probably completely out of, stuff to heal with or something like that,
No
which is
blood
less of a problem in Dark Souls because when you respawn, you get shit to heal with. Bloodborne, you got to
find it.
You got to grind enemies and wait for them to drop stuff. But generally, my strategy then is like, okay, I fought all the way to the end of this area. Now I know where the boss is at. Then sprint past everybody, which is usually almost always a completely viable option. You know where the enemies are, you know how to avoid them, you know where they're going to come out from, and just run straight fucking past them.
So just fuck all these guys.
You don't have to fight everybody.
I killed you last time.
That's a realization that I think everybody gets at a certain point playing a FromSoft game. Is that you can 95% of the enemies you can just run past. You only need to fight them if you need to buy something. If you need your souls or blood echoes or whatever they're called in that game, if you need to purchase some sort of upgrade, that's when you fight people. But otherwise, just run straight past them. If you know where they are and know how to avoid them, just run.
You don't need to fight them.
You don't have to. Absolutely not. Because all they're going to do is drain your resources.
Right.
Which you need for fighting the boss. And it's
Springsteen. I mean,
yes. The first boss of Bloodborne, Bruce Springsteen. He's consumed too much of the old blood. And now he's giant, covered in hair, and looks like a weird, fucked up dog.
Right.
The thing about there's a trick in sort of a thematic trick in Bloodborne that I guess I won't spoil for you, but it's great when there's a switch that kind of gets flipped in the game and you realize kind of what's been going on the whole time. And it's really,
so it's like a twist.
It's not like a huge twist, but it's like there is a kind of a thematic twist where it starts out and you feel like you know what kind of what the setting is, where it's like, it's dark Victorian times and there's fucked up townspeople and there's werewolves and stuff. That's what this is. And then there's a twist partway through the game where you realize, that's what this is.
Oh, yeah.
And there is actually a stat that if you level up high enough, you reach the twist early.
Really?
That stat is insight. Once you hit a certain level of insight, things change. It's the only one of FromSoft's games that does that. I think it's really neat. But there's also a lot of stuff about the world that Bloodborne takes place in that I do not understand the mechanics of, all the stuff with the dreams and everything. I don't get how any of that works or what the geography is, because it seems like the dreams are real places, but are they? It's really weird. And the other FromSoft games don't really have that sort of element where it still has, obscure and kind of foggy lore that is difficult to understand because things are only kind of loosely related. Like the final boss of the first game is named Gwyn, and he's like this god king.
You're talking about in
Dark Souls. He's named Gwyn. He's got all, this god king.
Right.
Nobody knows how many kids this guy actually has. There's only 4 children that we know of for sure. And one of them was never referenced at all until the DLC for Dark Souls 3, which was the last DLC, the last thing that has ever been released for Dark Souls and will ever be released for Dark Souls, because Dark Souls 3 is the end of the series. But he has 4 kids. But he might have 5 more who are they're characters that are either referenced constantly or that you meet that might be his kids, but it's not really clear.
Sure.
Or they might be related to him, but it's not clear how they're related to him. It's, they leave a lot of questions in their stories. And I'm expecting, just as much of that for Elden Ring, because when people talk about Elden Ring, they're like, it was written by George R.R. Martin. No, the setting was created by George R.R. Martin. George laid out the world and said, here are like the gods and the demigods and some nations and the people in there. And I guarantee everything else was done by Miyazaki.
Sure.
Because like, and also the thing about Hidetaka.
Why did George Martin do that?
Name recognition.
Right.
And they gave him a paycheck.
Sure.
And it's kind of funny because there was an interview with, and this might have been, I don't know if this was recently at a convention or if this was a while ago at a convention, because Elden Ring's been in development for a long time.
Yeah.
But Brandon Sanderson was asked about the FromSoft games, which he has been publicly a huge fan of for a very long time. And he went, like, he sounded a little miffed that FromSoft went to George Martin, who doesn't know what a video game is.
Well, see, here's the good news, I guess, in Sanderson's arena here is that what's going to happen then is that George R.R. Martin is just going to die.
Yeah, and they're going to hire him to finish. There's a podcast I was listening to where that was
really, is that what they said?
The joke they made. It's just like, well, if George dies, then Sanderson can just finish Game of Thrones. And I guess if Patrick Rothfuss never gets off his ass either, he can finish the
Song of Ice and Fire series,
the King Killer Chronicles as well. Just have Brandon Sanderson finish all of your fantasy stories that nobody can bother finishing.
And I haven't read all the Sanderson stuff from Wheel of Time.
At the very least, the series finished and it has a conclusion, even if they had to change writers.
Right.
But
and Sanderson is actually a very, very good writer. Yeah, he does very good work.
But yeah, it was like, apparently he was a little disappointed that it was like, I love your games, and I'm basically of the same caliber of writer as George Martin, just not as popular necessarily. I don't have the same name recognition, but. Yeah, and it's like, and I love your games. I've played all of them. He would have been a great choice for that. And also he probably would have been willing to actually write the game instead of what I'm assuming Martin did, which was just spend an afternoon coming up with a world, the way that someone might for their D&D campaign, and then handed it off to Miyazaki. And here you go.
There you go.
Give me $3 million, please.
I really like the castle in the sky, by the way.
Yes. But that's also the thing with Hidetaka Miyazaki is that sometimes when people see game director, which being the director of a game kind of means something different in Japan, where it's more like being the director of the film, where you probably have you're probably a lot more hands-on for a lot of things than someone might be in the United States. A lot of item descriptions, down to that nitty-gritty level, he will write item descriptions for shit in the Souls games and Bloodborne and whatnot. Partially because that's how the story's told. Where all of the information about the world other than the visual basically comes from item descriptions. So he writes those himself. He's basically he's hands-on with almost every aspect of the games that he directs, but he's also not quite like the Hideo Kojima type where he also slaps his name everywhere on every single thing in the game. Okay. Where a credit pops up whenever you see something by Hideo Kojima. Sure. A Hideo Kojima game. Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding, a Hideo Kojima game made by Kojima Productions. Yeah. Written by Hideo. He's like fucking Neil Breen, where it's Neil Breen could just abbreviate his credits by saying just made by Neil Breen and then have the individual credits for the things that he didn't do. Sure. Just roll all of the things he did do into made by and then have the other credits as needed. Sure. Kojima does the very, a very similar thing. It was just produced by, directed by, blah, 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 blah. Let's see his name Key again. Grip. Hideo Kojima. Hideo Kojima has played characters in his own games. Best boy. He shows up in the Metal Gear series as himself. his character is named Hideo Kojima. I don't know what the character does. He's not like a major character, but he shows up as himself in his games. He is a treasure.
Sure.
I think the Metal Gear series is extremely iconic. Mm-hmm. And Death Stranding is a inscrutable, weird thing that I'll probably play someday.
I haven't. My oldest child has played it. And she says, I said, did you do any walking in it? She's,
that's the whole game.
It's the whole game.
It's the whole game.
Yeah.
And when you're not walking, there's a 40-minute long cutscene going on where everyone's talking, but no one's saying anything.
Right.
They're spouting a lot of weird kind of pseudo scientific and/or paranormal dialogue.
Sure.
With all the confidence of someone who just read an article on Wikipedia about this. But
I will have to say one thing
about the magic of a Kojima game.
About Miyazaki's Bloodborne there. I see the connection between that and the Souls games because in Bloodborne so far it's given me ulcers playing the game, which has given me dark stools.
Ah, yes, dark stools. Yes.
Just saying, that's the connection.
Anyway.
Hey, Unleash the Archers.
Unleash the Archers. So they're a Canadian band.
Yes, they're from Vancouver.
From Canada.
Yeah.
They're from Vancouver.
Yeah.
They're not from Calgary.
They're not from Calgary.
They're not from Manitoba. They're not from Quebec.
It's Quebec.
Quebec, sorry.
They're not Quebecois.
They're not from Halifax.
They're not.
Or Ottawa. I'm just listing all the Canadian cities I know.
They are not from Prince Edward Island.
Oh, yeah.
They are not from New Brunswick. They're not from Newfoundland. They are not from Yukon.
They're also not from Vancouver Island. They're just from Vancouver. This is nothing.
They're not from Saskatchewan.
I started this just because I wanted to say Calgary the way that Kyle Kinane says it in that
Calgary,
one bit.
Right.
Sir, this is Calgary.
Will you guys be my gay dads?
Yeah. But they're sort of a heavy metal band, power metal, a bit of that melodic death metal mixed in there. They've been around since 2010?
2007.
2007. Okay, you're probably right. I looked up a little bit. I didn't read deep into the history or the lore. Mm-hmm. Sorry,
they're from Victoria, British Columbia. They are from British Columbia.
Oh, they're from British Columbia.
I looked wrong. Yeah, they're from
a different V town in British Columbia.
Right. I disremembered.
You disremembered it.
They're from Vancouver.
Unleash the Archers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking at the Wikipedia page now, but yeah, they're made up of band members. At least the recording, they've gone through a couple of lineup changes. Only the singer and the drummer are the only founding members of the band.
Brittany Hayes, aka Brittany Slays.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Lead singer. Then you've got Scott Buchanan on drums, who is the only other founding member of the band left.
Right.
Grant Truesdell on guitars, who also does screened vocals.
Or they say unclean.
Unclean. Yeah, that's another term that is used. Andrew Kingsley also on guitars, and Nico Whitworth on bass.
Mm-hmm. On the bass.
On the bass, yes. Mm-hmm. He has left and been replaced since the recording of this album in 2017.
Indeed.
So you kind of came across these guys by accident.
Just
browsing around or what?
On the internet. And because these guys they're on Napalm Records now. Mm-hmm. I think they were already on Napalm Records when I found out about them.
Their first release on Napalm was in 2015. From
2015, the album before this one.
Yes.
But this one actually, this is the one that actually got them notoriety. It was on the fucking Billboard charts. It was
number 28. Albums. Pretty good.
Yeah, because
for a metal release.
And here's the thing: I think it was because of this podcast. I think I might have been looking for. It was like Female February, like 4 years ago, and I don't remember what happened after that. But I found this. And I'm like, what the fuck?
What's this?
This is fantastic. I mean, is this a real band? Like, they gotta be a real band. They're great. This is.
Well, this can't be a real band. This music isn't real. I'm imagining this.
Yeah, I'm hallucinating right now.
If they made the music, they're a real band.
Right. True. Yeah. I mean, is this a thing they did in the? It can't be a thing they did in the garage. This is good. This is a studio work right here.
Is this a death clock? Am I listening to a death clock right now?
Right.
But they started. I gotta admit, I'm like power metal's not really my bag.
It's not. It's great to listen to every now and then. I mean, I guess I probably like it way more than you do.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I by no means did I dislike this album, but listening to it, I was just like, this isn't my thing.
Right.
I don't know what it is, because you wouldn't think it to be the case.
I mean, you love fantasy, and this is very fantasy oriented.
Extremely, and power metal in general is has a very heavy focus on fantasy fiction, and there's so much fantasy fiction in my life. I should love power metal, but I kind of don't.
And when I listen to this, I imagine myself, standing on a hill, as the sun sets over my kingdom, holding a sword. I mean, that's what I imagine. It was like, I want to weep right now. You know what I mean?
That's the fantasy of power metal.
Yeah.
Right? And also you're probably shirtless with rippling muscles.
Because if you're going to go all the way.
If you're going to go to town,
drive the Lincoln.
You might as well go in a Lincoln. Get your full Man-O-War fantasy out of it. 100%.
Like the opening track to this.
Yeah, it's very although I gotta say it was like the songwriting was not as epic as I anticipated it being in some ways. Maybe it's just because I've listened to so much recently. I've listened to so much Shadow of Intent, which is like very epic and so intense, and so fast. And
their latest album is hard to beat. I mean,
it's so fantastic. Elegy is absolutely wonderful. But I've listened to that on repeat for the last month,
right?
So it's hard to measure up to that level of epic metal.
But her voice
is fantastic.
And the actual instrumentation and the recording and
I think honestly the polish of it is another thing about it that kind of made me go
really? Because that's the thing with power metal, though. I mean, power metal
is a very polished genre.
It's extremely tight.
And I think that's kind of one of the things I don't like about power metal. I want a little bit more,
because Shadow of Intent is extremely tight as well.
But also it's constant deep guttural growls and
it's got the things that round out the edges.
It brings some grit in there in other ways. Not that this is without, because we were talking about screen vocals. I was caught by surprise by that, listening, through 90% of the first song, and then all of a sudden, there's a little bit of screen vocals, and they show up every now and then. They're not a constant presence,
right?
And I think it would balance for me. It would balance the flavor profile more towards something that I truly enjoy.
That you would,
if there was more of that,
it would make it more personal for you.
Yes, it would be, and I think that's another reason why, because I was also thinking about listening to the lyrics of this and really paying attention to the lyrics and going wow, this is cheesy. Yeah. And that's power metal.
But that's fine. Yeah. And in fact, if it was something, other than, singing about, victory and the vanquishing of our foes and shit like that. If you didn't have that in there, it would be like, what are you doing? I mean,
that's power metal. And ultimately, most death metal lyrics are definitely not uncheesy,
right?
But they're masked underneath layers and layers of distortion and grit and growling, and it's there's a lot of thematic elements between you and the lyrics. But I can't every power metal album that I've listened to. Where there is not some kind of wink, like a Necrogoblicon. For they are under no illusions about how silly all of it is. Well, I'm not saying that Unleash the Archers is under some sort of illusion that they think there's some super,
I think they get it.
I'm serious artistic.
I've seen their videos. They get it. Yeah, like Halloween. Halloween knows and knew
who they
then.
are. And I
here's a song about dicks. You know what I mean?
I don't think there's any power metal band that really does take themselves seriously. in that way, but
Manowar.
sure, yeah, but I don't know. There's just something about. There's also, a lot of my favorite death metal bands are not necessarily the ones who have lyrics that are just, gore and destruction for their sake. They're lyrics that have some kind of message. Your cattle decapitations and whatnot that but actually are saying something.
There are other great death metal bands you read their lyrics and you go, come on, George, you're in your 50s.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing this?
Why are you still doing this, George? Can we I would love to hear Cannibal Corpse try to do something like other bands of their generation have pivoted into doing stuff more like having more serious kind of lyrics, like Napalm Death's most recent album.
Napalm Death's album since 1993.
Yeah,
I mean all their stuff but they started like Utopia Banish and this one before that
trended more
political. They were
trended more political, more socially conscious lyrics. Since Barney, basically.
Right. I love Barney.
Barney Greenway is fantastic.
Yes,
he just looks like somebody's dad.
Yeah, he does. Somebody's dad and maybe somebody's a very young person's grandpa. I mean, he's
possibly And he does not look like a metal guy.
And he's got the accent from he's got the Birmingham. He's Birmingham. I mean, he's
extremely thick. What's the slang? Is it brummy?
I think so.
Or is it broomy? I don't know. For Birmingham. But extremely, extremely thick regional accent with Barney Greenway. But like there's death metal bands that of Cannibal Corpse's generation that have trended more in a more sort of socially conscious direction, where it's like, we're going to try and say something with this album. And those are usually the ones that I enjoy the most. Sure. I like that sort of thing. And it's like, I almost wonder, because when I listen to an album like this and I'm sitting there going like, I feel bad for myself. Because I should just enjoy something for what it is.
Right.
I don't know why I can't do that.
And that's how I feel. That's how I feel about this. I mean, I feel like I mean, I know what it is. They know what it is. We know what we're doing here.
Yeah.
It's like when you find yourself in a seedy hotel room with a cheap hooker. It's like you're not thinking, hey, maybe we're gonna find a love match. No, you're not.
You know what this is.
No, yeah, she's gonna have a numb spot in her ass where you snorted the line when she gets home tonight.
This is getting very specific.
But that's where I am with this. I mean, I enjoyed it for what it is.
I wish I could do that more. I need to banish the parts of my consciousness that are too pretentious in some way. And but to give myself a little bit of credit, sometimes you just like what you like. You do. Well, you know what you like.
Oh, dude, I cannot criticize you for what you do and don't like. Whatever. I mean, that's inside of you. I can't manipulate your shit. That's you do you.
But I can't help it. It's just we were talking about the Lord of the Rings show earlier today, where it's like I'm so deeply invested in the universe of the Lord of the Rings where I don't know if it's possible for me to enjoy that show, no matter how good it may be, no matter how tall it might stand under its own merits as a piece of media, I am incapable of not comparing it to the source material and the adaptations of that material that have come before it.
No matter how good it is, you're already...
I am not capable of separating it from the Silmarillion, from the Lord of the Rings. I can't do it. And again, this is something that I feel bad about for the most part.
Because you want to like it.
I want to like it. And I don't want to be that guy who goes on the internet and is just like, this is all the things wrong with the show because it wasn't close to the, it wasn't close to the source material. And
got their facts wrong.
But in the back of my head, I can't help but basically the compromise I have come to is I can be that guy to myself, and have those thoughts.
Please don't
to
be that guy on
myself,
Reddit.
But I'm not gonna be that guy on the internet.
Right.
I'm not gonna go around and I might talk to you about things that I didn't like about something,
And I'll be cool with it, whatever.
but I'm not going to seek out strangers and ask what their opinion was just so I can yell at them and tell them that the thing that they enjoy is bad.
Well, it's like the Wheel of Time thing on Amazon.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people said so many big shitty things about it because, they're like, this isn't true to the source material. Like, no, it's a show.
They're doing their thing.
It really kind of wouldn't work otherwise. And believe me, I defend it, but inside my head, I'm like, no, you're right.
You're right.
I mean, they did fuck with it a lot. And I wasn't comfortable with all of those things.
And there is a debate that happens too, where it's you want okay, how much was lost in the changes that they made?
Right.
Like for any adaptation of a book or whatever it is, or it's like, what are they losing? Are they losing the soul of the source material? All of it's subjective as fuck.
Sure. And it's different. It's a different medium.
I will say though, for Tolkien's work, there is absolutely a soul to everything that he did.
Yeah.
Which I think at its core is that one of the most well-defined themes of any of his work is that industry is evil. So that's one thing you got to keep in mind is Tolkien very highly valued pastoralism, simple livelihoods, that sort of thing.
Sure.
He disliked industry. He disliked
he was a professor. He was an English professor.
Yeah. Almost every villain, whether it's, Morgoth all the way down to Sauron or all the way down to Saruman and that sort of thing.
Sure.
Are people who make things and also covet the things that they make.
Right. Those
people who don't make things people who make things to share with the world. That's fine in his viewpoint.
Those are good people.
But people who are making things purely because they
want to
desire
hold on to power.
They desire the power that these things will give them. Those are the villains of his story. And this is a series being made by Amazon. So let that sink in.
So it's
what would John Tolkien think of Amazon?
What would he think of Jeff Bezos?
What would he think of Jeff Bezos?
Yeah,
that's a question that's rattling around my head.
I mean, shit. Even Tolkien didn't even want to publish the work at all.
Yeah, no, it
was C.S. Lewis had to
fucking publish finish the book, publish it.
It's fine. Send it the fuck in, because that's how he talked.
Yeah. That's how C.S. Lewis talked.
Hey, yo, it's me, Chuck Lewis.
But yeah, this has been a long debate. We did circle back to fantasy, which is vaguely related to Unleash the Archers.
We did. We stayed mostly on
vaguely in the same topic.
Yeah, this is another new.
This was a pretty logical tangent.
It was.
All things considered.
This has been All Things Considered. You're listening to Prairie Public Radio.
I was going to... it's on Prairie Public, it's All Things Considered instead of NPR's All Songs Considered.
Yeah.
With Bob Boylan.
Well,
the tiny desk guy.
Prairie Public is the local carrier of National
NPR,
Public.
Yes. I know what you're doing, but then I had to think of All Songs Considered on NPR. Sure. Anyway.
And where I usually go with that is Most Things Considered, because I maybe didn't consider all things.
Yeah.
But then it changes to Moist Things Considered.
Nice. So what were you going to say about the album?
This was not their most recent album.
It is not. They put out an album in 2020?
They did. It's similar to the not Apex.
That continues the story of this album as well, because this album kind of has a story. My understanding of it is there's I've
listened to it 3 times.
Evil queen,
the matriarch,
and she's got a bunch of sons or children in general,
right? But then you find out she might have 5 more.
Yeah,
but that's with the DLC.
Yeah. Hey, and she
End scene.
wants to kill them and harvest their blood to make herself immortal. Is, I think, the
and that's
plot.
where we leave off at the end.
Yes. Has she become immortal because the second to last song is "Call Me Immortal"?
That's the last song. It's "Call Me Immortal." The second to last
song is the title track.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, Apex is the title track.
Yes.
Yeah. "Call Me Immortal," second to last song. Yeah. Earth and Ashes, third to last. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, "Call Me Immortal," which one of the better songs on this. I mean,
it's
some
good.
of the slower songs where they bring it back a notch. Let's admit that this band is kind of a one trick pony.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
it's one fucking hell of a neat trick. But I mean, you might argue. But I mean,
we're getting in the direction of our criteria that we vaguely talk about every once in a while,
right?
But like my favorite track was the time where they did slow down. Okay, here's some acoustic guitars,
Right.
and we're bringing the vocals back.
And
back
that was
a
Earth
notch
and
for a
Ashes
bit.
when they did that, right?
I'm talking about the beginning of Apex.
Oh, beginning of
like
Apex.
the first 3-4 minutes of Apex are
that's a great track.
lots of acoustic guitars and that sort of thing, which
Right.
is I love the Opeth trick basically.
It's not a bad trick.
It's I'm a sucker for that,
Right.
for that dynamic.
Exactly.
Our favorite buzzword. But does this album slap?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I think
slaps.
It slaps.
Uh-huh.
It slaps. For sure.
My favorite track, I think, is even though I like those last three where it gets more introspective,
Awakening
is still, it's where it comes in and,
that was my second choice. Is the opening track. That's also by far the most listened to track on the album. All of these, all the rest of the songs sit at about 1 million listens. That one's at 6 million.
Sure.
I don't know if it was like the first single they put out,
I think
or if it's just because it's the first song and people listen to that and go, "I've got everything I need from this.
It was the
I don't
single.
need to listen to the rest of the album," which is sometimes what people do.
Sure.
Statistically,
And a lot of times it's not untrue.
I mean, you want to start strong. But I wrote down Apex as my favorite, the title track.
Right.
And also it's not a power metal song unless you're talking about riding some sort of creature through the skies.
Yeah.
Or the stars, I think is what it was. She's riding some manner of creature through the stars.
Because she's immortal. And now this is the end of part one.
Yes.
Now we're going to have part two will be the one that came out 2 years ago.
Yeah. Is someone gonna attack her for her crimes of killing her sons and drinking their blood?
The matriarch?
Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows? What is the name of that?
The newest album? I don't remember.
Abyss.
Yeah.
Apex and then Abyss.
My favorite James Cameron movie. Sorry, that's The Abyss, isn't it?
It's The Abyss.
It's not just called Abyss.
Yeah, no, it's The Abyss, right? That's your favorite James Cameron movie?
No, I was. I don't. I
It's
also.
a good movie, but I don't think it's his best work.
I haven't seen Abyss. I'm pretty sure.
You've never seen The Abyss?
Yeah, I don't think I have. I think I've maybe seen a few bits of it.
It's one of those things where, okay, I went back and watched it not too long ago, and I went, oh, yeah, the CGI in this is very...
I mean, it was also made when?
Well, yeah, it was made 20 some odd years ago. I mean, it's
Yeah.
over 20 years old. I mean, at the time, it was like, how did they do that? And
It was like early 90s, wasn't it?
oh, not early. No, it was
late 80s.
It was late 90s. It was middle 90s, maybe.
Was it that late?
I feel like it came out, I was married at the time.
Okay. Let me.
Well, I might be wrong. I think it was like 94.
I thought it was kind of 1989.
1980, The Abyss? Are
Yeah.
you shitting me?
Yeah, it's 1989.
No.
It's right here on Wikipedia.
Oh, well, it must be true.
Yeah, so obviously it's true.
I feel
Trust
like
everything.
I feel like it came out when I was living behind the nursing home.
It might
oh,
have been.
I guess in 1989. So
Might
it
have
says
been
here.
re-released. I don't know.
Motherfucker. But I mean, yeah, it had CGI in it. And remember at the time, CGI was very...
It was 1989, so it was, probably the best you could hope for.
Right.
It was 4 years pre-Jurassic Park.
Right.
It is, I think the set for I think you can still find somewhere the set for the Abyss. I don't think it was ever completely torn down.
Really?
It's like, it's
It's like a museum piece.
sitting in a giant water tank, and it's an empty water tank, but
right.
there was like a submarine. There was an actual like underwater
sandwich.
A submarine sandwich. There was an actual like underwater set. I don't know if I don't think they filmed inside of it, but it might have been just for exterior shots,
maybe.
But the very James
1989, that's crazy.
The very James Cameron thing of I'm gonna build this gigantic actual thing.
Well, but the thing is, James Cameron never put his movies in water.
No James Cameron movie has ever took place on water.
No.
On or under the water.
Right.
Never.
He's not fascinated with water at all.
Not James Cameron.
No.
I mean, really, it's just those two. It's those two movies and his personal hobby. Like his
personal submarine. He took it into what was the Marianas Trench? He took.
Yeah. He went to the bottom of the Challenger Deep. It's like his other movies don't necessarily show off his love of the sea, but other than Titanic.
Right.
But
I guess, Dave, what movie? Oh, hey, God damn it, I can't fucking type anything. There is no Hames Cameron.
What are you trying to find?
I was trying to look at, like Terminator.
Yeah, Terminator, famous aquatic film.
Famous nautical movie, Terminator.
Or Aliens, famously an aquatic film.
Mm-hmm. Well, it took place in a ship. I mean,
the first
part of it, yeah.
Most of the film takes place on a planet.
Right.
The first one takes place on a ship, but that wasn't James Cameron.
And that Evader movie.
What?
Evader? From back in 2009.
Oh, God damn it. All right, we've gone long.
Yeah, we have. Time to color quit.
You, what medal are you bestowing upon this? Like Maz to Chewbacca.
I give this a gold because I will listen to it again over and over. I can already tell.
Yeah, I'm giving it a silver.
Yeah, which is fine.
Different strokes, different folks. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
And you've only ever given an album I brought here bronze once.
Yeah, and that was was that Cradle of Filth, or was that, which one was that?
That would have been Celtic Frost.
Celtic Frost, yeah. That's right. I knew it was either Celtic Frost or Cradle of Filth. Yeah. I remember not really liking the Cradle of Filth album either.
Yeah, I didn't care for it all that much.
But
I think it made silver, but it was a low silver.
Yeah. So anyway, next week, I figured we would give a listen to a new album by a band that's kind of up and coming. I've listened to parts of this new album. I've listened to some of their other stuff. I'm familiar with their singer from another band. It's a band called Spirit Box, and it's their newest album, Eternal Blue.
Sweet.
That came out last year.
All right.
I haven't listened to it a ton. They're kind of, in a lot of ways, kind of Ginger-like in the sense that they're sort of a modern, extreme progressive metal type band.
Sure.
With a female vocalist who does clean vocals and does screamed vocals. They're different. They're not a ripoff necessarily, but
it's just a different band.
It's hard to not make some comparisons. There's a lot of similarities, but they're very good on their own as well.
Can't wait to listen.
We'll talk about Eternal Blue by Spirit Box next week.
Sorry, something you said just now reminded me of because I do the Fab 4 at 4 every day. I have a hard time. There's no way I can get around making it sound like I'm making a gross proposition when in the middle of it, I say, it's time that we come together.
Right now. Over me. I find sometimes that when I say the Fab 4 at 4, it sometimes sounds like the Fap 4 at 4.
The Fab 4 at 4.
Which is a very different thing.
An entirely different thing.
But anyway, thanks very much for listening to this episode. If you would like to listen to more episodes in the future or in the past, find our social media pages, Facebook or Twitter, or also subscribe to our feeds on podcast source from Libsyn, or easily enough your podcast app if you've got an iOS device. So thanks very much for listening. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.